Good evening and welcome to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. I am Adam.
And I'm Josie.
After a mild freak out because I pressed the wrong button and started recording this on the cloud instead of on the laptop, as is customary in
Hmm.
such situations.
The freaking out?
You didn't hear me?
I heard you say, hold on.
Oh no, oh no.
No, I did not hear that at all.
Okay. All right. Well, we're talking like NPR hosts today. Um,
Um, are
so
we?
a little bit. We're not exactly bringing the
Welcome to NPR. Today we will be talking about the man that only had one shoe.
I'm gonna write that down because we have an episode title for today. Man who only had one shoe.
It
Because
was a
that
dark
is,
and stormy night. There you go.
I don't, that is such a cliche that it was a dark and stormy night. Like, I don't know where it came from though. I just know it's a cliche because it's been done to death.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't know. Well, things are more interesting when it's dark and stormy.
well, no, I know that, but like, my first introduction to it, I don't know if it was yours, but it was a Peanuts cartoon when Snoopy was a novelist, and that's how he would start out his books.
Bruh, I don't know when.
um, but yeah. So, um, do you have Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, do you have Netflix on your phone?
Yeah. I can log into it on my phone.
Well, did you know that there are games that you can play that are like full ass games on your phone
Kind
via
of,
Netflix?
sorta. They seem
Um,
kind of lame.
there are a lot of really good ones in there too. Like I think
Okay,
that that's the problem is they started out kind of lame. They
right,
started out kind of like shovelware, like a SpongeBob game and stuff
right.
like that. But they added in a bunch of cool stuff. So like, um,
Oh, look, Bloon 6.
well, yeah, that's one of the ones that I was like, oh, that's one of the shovelware games.
That's awesome. That's shovelware.
Yeah.
Like, don't watch that. Don't play.
Well, no, I figured it's like shovelware adjacent. I didn't mean like it's anything bad by it, but like Shovel Knight is in there now. World of Goo is in there now. Um,
Shovelware. What the fudge does shovelware mean?
well, shovelware means it's cheaply made, designed to capitalize on an IP without being great. Like it doesn't
Mm.
strike me as something that's like, oh, they're gonna put a lot of effort into this. But there are a
Oh, the
lot of games.
Bloons games usually have quite a bit of effort put into them, and they're good.
But yeah, they put Oxenfree on there. Um,
Oxenfree.
yeah, it's an indie game from. It came out just before Stranger Things, and it's got a Stranger Thingsy vibe to it with a radio, and the
Hmm.
sequel's on there too. Terra
Oh, look,
Nil
you
is
can
pretty
play
cool.
exploding kittens.
Yep. Heads
That's
Up is on
fun.
there. Terra Nil's a fun one. It's
Nah.
a city builder, kind of.
Did you say World of Goo?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that looks cute.
That one I remember playing on the Wii. Um,
Oh, really? It's a Wii game?
yeah. Into the Breach
Hmm.
is really fun. It is hard as fuck, but it's really fun. Um,
Okay.
did you ever play FTL?
Mm, what's it stand for?
Well, faster than light, but the game's just called FTL.
No.
It's a pretty simple game. You have a ship, and you have to get your ship from one end of the galaxy to the other end of the galaxy without being blown up. And
Hmm.
each little dot you go to on the map has a different random event. So like sometimes there'll be a shop, sometimes there'll be a quest, sometimes there'll be an enemy ship you gotta kill. Like, and you have to not die and get from one end to the other, and then when you get to the end, you have to kill a boss. Um,
Oh.
that studio or that developer made Into the Breach, which is kind of like a strategy game.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like they have a lot of good games on there. And my question to you
Yeah.
is, do you play mobile games a lot?
Not a lot, but I do.
Like, I don't know about you, but for me, when I hear there's a mobile game for something, I inherently think that it is not gonna be good. Like,
Oh, okay.
does that also like do you also like if I tell you that like there's a new I don't know, a new Call of Duty game, but it's mobile, does that pique your interest? Or if
No.
like for whatever reason, when I hear mobile, I think not great.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's just gonna be like a less good game.
Yeah, and I think that like,
But like that's the nature of it. It's a smaller processing, it's lower graphics card, like
well, I don't think that
less
you need,
RAM.
but like, I think if you were to download Stardew Valley for your phone,
Hmm.
I would like that game doesn't require a ton of resources to run. I would
No, it
assume
doesn't.
it runs
Doesn't it
kind of the
run
same.
pretty similar?
I would assume it's gotta run basically the
I
same.
think it does. I
Like,
think it runs almost, I think it runs exactly the same.
and like a game like World of Goo could probably run the same. But like, my question is like, if I'm a mobile developer, there's money in mobile games. Like, if it was me, I would be like, why don't we put it into things like
Mm.
like you know, garden. Like, did you ever play Sonic Adventure 2?
No, I didn't play the Sonic games. I'm not really a fan.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Probably
but
for the best.
RuneScape does play almost exactly the same.
Well, RuneScape's also like 15 years old.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Sonic games, really.
But like, there was a mode in Sonic Adventure 2, where it was like a Chow Garden, where you would get these little guys and you would train them and you'd make them fight each other and race each
Okay.
other. Like, and they can come in different colors and you can evolve them and stuff like
So
that.
you
And I'm
didn't
like,
race them, you just made them race each other?
no, you race, not raise. You raise them to race and like run and fly and stuff.
Oh,
Um, and you can
but
also
you
make
don't
them.
get to do the racing?
No, they do that. I mean, there's a general game that this is a sub game within the game, um, but like that would lend itself. Like if I'm Sega, I don't know why I wouldn't put that out as a mobile game. And the same goes for like, did you ever play Need for Speed by any chance?
No.
Like Underground 2 or anything like that? Okay, well,
Mm,
um,
I might have played Need for Speed.
like those games go. I remember spending just hours playing the making my car and customizing it and making it look really cool, and then just running through the city with the car. Like, and the same goes for like
Mm,
GTA. Like, that's something that I could see people spending money on microtransactions for. If you make it free to play. And the other thing that
okay.
I'm surprised doesn't have an app yet, Neopets.
Neopets. Why does that sound so familiar? What the fudge are
Oh, this
Neopets?
I feel like we're gonna wander into like a sudden, like, you remember the end of Ratatouille where he takes a bite of the ratatouille and he flashes back to his childhood. I feel like we're about to hit that moment for you. There
Neopets.
we go.
Oh, what the heck were these on?
It was a PC thing. There was a game for PlayStation, and you can buy physical ones. Like, you could buy them in the store. It was a big fucking deal in the mid 2000s.
It was just like a crappy little game, right? On the computer.
It was
Not like
pretty.
like a free game, a free
It
to
was
play
free.
game.
It was You could buy premium money, but it was basically a free game.
Mm.
And like, I was thinking, like, why is this not something that they've ported to mobile phones?
It's probably because it was really shitty
No, but they made a fuck ton of money.
comparatively to now.
But like,
I
I think
know,
this,
but
I
like,
think the
who's
nostalgia
gonna
market
play
sells.
Neopets when they can go play Pokemon?
Well, Pokemon. I think
I
that
don't think it was very good. I think it was only good for like it was only good when we were kids
I think it
because
worked
we
for like
didn't
the
know any
Flash game
better.
era. Well, that was the thing too. It was like that same era as like Addicting Games and Newgrounds, and it was all themed the games, and then you
Hmm.
would get points for currency. It was a proto version of what we have now, and if they ported the games, you could probably get a considerable amount of people who are just like, "Oh my god, this is that shit I used to play when I was a kid," and would tune back in for that. But it was like a mixture of Tamagotchi. For those who are listening who don't remember
Yeah.
what Neopets is, it's like a combination of Tamagotchi and AddictingGames.com. Um,
Mm.
where it's like it was a bunch of flash games that were like of varying difficulty. Like, there was one that was like Snake. There was one that was like a one of those match games where you have to get three and then get them to clear, um, or Tetris as some call it. Um, like there, it was.
I remember seeing the cute little characters, but I don't remember any of the games related to
Oh,
it.
I was so into this when I was a kid.
I wasn't allowed to be on the computer very much.
Ah, Like I was so into Neopets when I was a kid, and it's like,
Were you?
yeah. Well, the thing
They are
was,
super cute.
yeah, and I think that was part of what made it work. And then what would happen is you would collect these items, and then you could sell the items to other players.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for digital
That's
currency.
cool.
So like that, like it had a whole economy. Like there was a stock market you could play. There was like a bank system you could play. There were random events on the site.
That's really
Um,
cool. Okay.
yeah, I'm surprised that that hasn't been ported. Like that's the thing. It's like I think that like mobile games, as it is right now, the vast majority of them feel derivative and designed to give you a vehicle to watch an ad.
A lot of them lately do, yeah.
Like it's like you can't like any game you download. It's like okay, here it's an endless runner. But you're gonna have to watch an ad to go further than this. And it's
So,
like
yeah. I like Fallout mobile game.
Fallout Bunker or Shelter.
Yes. Yep.
Isn't that
And
kind of like
then
Tiny Death Star where it's like you have to build your own bunker and like manage resources?
yes. Um, and then I play Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go is a good one.
And then
Did you hear Niantic's not doing well though?
I don't know what Niantic is.
The company that makes Pokemon Go.
I didn't know that.
Because
How could they not?
well, the problem is there was a period where Pokemon Go like fucking set off, and they make $2 billion a year on Pokemon Go from people buying the passes and shit.
Hmm.
But the issue is every other studio and every other major IP holder smelled, oh shit, we can make money doing this. So you
Oh.
ended up with the Harry Potter one that lasted a year and then they closed it down. The Pikmin one that's still ongoing, but I don't think has long. The
Mm-hmm.
what was it? There was an NBA one that was just kind of a little too close to human trafficking for a lot of people. Um, yeah, so it was an NBA one where you went around and you had to collect NBA players and like beat them in 1v1 and then force them to join your team and then play other players. And it's like that's just a shade too close to human trafficking and it feels kind of weird.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and then like it wasn't Niantic, but there was one for Minecraft that didn't work. There was one for Ghostbusters that didn't work. There was one they were working on that's now been canceled for Marvel that the issue with these games is, and it's the same issue that kind of happened with the live service games, quote unquote, like Fortnite and all of that. Not Fortnite, but all the rest that have closed down. Is that people only want one of these? Like, unless
Oh,
it's
okay.
really good, I'm not gonna change which one of these. I don't play any of them because I'm not into that. But like, if you play Fortnite, if someone else comes along with another game like Fortnite, they're not gonna switch over to that.
I mean, they did that with a lot of those battle royale games, and they switched over to Fortnite. But
Well, because like a lot of them have been closing down because it's just player bases aren't sustainable for a game that has
mm,
to keep going on forever, and you have to maintain the servers and all that. So they've been closing down left and right. And I think the issue comes down to it's like they smelled that oh shit we can make money on this, so everyone tried to do it, and then people went back to work after
hmm,
COVID, and it's like well now we don't have time to play all this. We're gonna stick with one.
okay.
Um, and I think it was kind of the same thing with these augmented reality games because like I tried to play both Pokemon Go and Wizards Unite, and it's just
Mhm.
not feasible.
I don't think I know
That was the
Wizards
Harry
Unite.
Potter one. It was
Oh,
Pokemon Go with a Harry
that
Potter
one
skin.
was not particularly good. I spent all of 2 seconds playing it and
See,
then
and
I
that's the
was
thing.
done.
It was
Because
too
then it
annoying to
was,
play, and it didn't have enough content, and it was just
no, it didn't.
like and the thing is too, it's like the whole thing with the greenhouses. It's like I don't understand. Like I need to keep track of what I'm putting in what greenhouse, and then go back to the same place multiple times. It's like when I was playing it, it's like I would go to the mall. Like that's when I would go to play Pokemon Go because there were like 17
Hmm.
Pokestops and get a ton of spawns. It's like this is a great place and it's air conditioned. But
Yeah.
like for Wizards Unite, you have to go daily, and I think the payout for the energy wasn't enough either.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think I quite understood how to play the stupid game, but um I
I
do
don't
like
either.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah, Pokemon Go is because it's such a simple gameplay loop for Pokemon Go.
It is. And like anybody can do it. Anybody can go and just pick it up and have a good time because it's like, oh my God, look at the cute little characters, you know?
And you have an
Um,
endless amount of time to keep doing it because they keep coming out with new
right.
Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Like they have over 1,000 Pokemon now,
Right.
and it's like they
Right.
can just
And
keep
it's
adding new
cute. The
shit.
mechanics are all the same. You know, they got rid of that buggy stuff from the beginning and it's pretty much been exactly the same ever since. They have the events. It's built to its own community that are
And I think the
still
thing
sticking
is,
around.
my one problem with Pokemon Go is the remote raids, where it's like let's not kid ourselves, the player base has dwindled at this point. Like
Hmm.
I think that it's not what it was in the summer of 2006, or even what it was before COVID, where it was like there's a lot less players now than there were before. Um,
Hmm.
and the issue is that finding a raid group is a lot harder than it was.
I think maybe that's a regional issue.
Oh, you don't have that problem up there?
Um, I don't really do the raid groups here, but when I was living out in Colorado, I had a friend that was like really, really into it, and like she
Besides
was a
me?
part of like huh?
What's that besides me?
Besides, you weren't
Besides
in
me?
Colorado.
No, I know. Okay, the joke didn't land. Just continue.
Yes, I do have other friends.
I
Um,
didn't say you did. Oh my god, just
I
continue.
thought that's what maybe you were trying to get at.
No.
Um, I don't know then. So, uh, she was really into it, and she was part of like these like Facebook groups and different communities and stuff. And like, um, the people that she knew were always doing it, and it seemed like we could always go to raids in certain areas, and like people would always be there. There was also a really large community of people who did it um in this main street in Colorado Springs, and
Mhm.
people would um just be there doing that all the freaking time on the weekends. Like it wasn't that difficult. But I mean, if the community's larger there or more
Right.
into it there than where you are, then
Well, I think Colorado Springs also is more densely populated than
to
where
New
I am now.
York.
I'm not in New York City 9 times out of 10. I only go to New York City if I have an event to go to, which is
Oh,
infrequent. Like in New York City, I have no problem if I'm going through the subway or something. Like you can sit there on your phone and just
now I could say that I don't think I've ever been in a raid here where I wasn't by myself. So there's like nobody around here.
yeah. And the issue is, it's like they have the new electric type Reggie as the raid boss now, and I'm like, I want that little motherfucker. And if you use the remote raid pass, it cuts your attack damage.
Okay.
So if you're not physically there, you don't do as much. So it's hard to get people together to do it.
Oh, okay.
Um, which is fun. But tomorrow I'm gonna try and get. I mean, granted, this is going up a week from today, but I think tomorrow I'm gonna try and get that electric type Reggie because I need a good electric attacker, and my Zekrom is the only one I got.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm more into this than you are.
I'm sorry. I haven't really had the chance to like play things
Isn't your
lately.
job like on a Pokestop?
No.
It
So when
used
I
to be.
used to be able to take my breaks, um, there
This
was a
week's edition
Pokestop.
of Josie getting taken advantage of at work against labor laws is brought to you by.
When I used to, so there's a Pokestop across the parking lot.
Oh,
So
okay.
I used to go, and on my breaks, I'd just walk over, I'd spin, and then I'd come back, and like it was a way to get some exercise and get outdoors, and But then I also got to play a game.
But like even like with the expanded radius, it doesn't quite hit.
No,
Oh, okay. Because when I was working at Walgreens, there was a Pokestop across the street.
it's a big parking lot. Like it's
Oh, okay.
a yeah.
Yeah, like when I was working at Walgreens, there was a certain spot in the freezer that you could stand in that would give you enough to get over to that other stop. And it doubled where it's like I'm not working and I can play Pokemon Go and I can stay cool because the little trick about Walgreens is they keep the temperature at 78 degrees in the summer in the building. And the reason is
Really?
when it's 85 outside and you step into 78, you're like, wow, this is great. And you're not supposed to be in the store for longer than like 10 minutes to realize, oh no, it's actually hot in here. But if you
Mm-hmm.
work there, you're like, oh shit, this is not comfortable.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Is it 78 degrees?
Yeah, 78
Is what they
degrees.
keep it at? Oh,
Yeah,
huh,
exactly 78
huh,
degrees.
really?
Oh, what the fuck was that doing? Um,
I have friends that are convinced that the perfect temperature is 69.
it is. It is.
It is?
Ideally, that's what we would have it at work. Is 69 because then you get number one you get the joke every time you see the thermometer you can be like haha, and number two is it's not too hot and it's not too cold.
Mm,
Once you see 70, your brain
sure,
goes to it's hot in here, and if you see it's at 60, you're like why the fuck is it so cold?
that's true.
Um,
Huh. I don't know if I look at 70 as though it's hot, though.
I don't think you have
Because
the
I'm,
same weight issue that I do. I get very hot very quick.
oh, I, um, what am I trying to get across? I think I
This is gonna devolve
just,
to I'm fatter. No, I'm fatter.
I don't know, like I run cold.
Okay.
No, I think I just run cold.
Okay.
And like I've used to the heat and I like heat
That's true.
because
You
I
also
want my
live
blood to
north
be
of the
warm.
Arctic. You also live north of the Arctic Circle, so that's kind of normal up there for you to, you know, try and stay cool. Um, but
Mm, yeah,
on
it gets kind of cold up here in the Arctic Circle.
in the summer,
It really does.
um,
Isn't that unfortunate?
yeah. But today's topic, um, why don't we start with the big thing for today, which technically is news from 2 weeks ago, but we missed a week and then we came back and we didn't talk about it last week because Josie had to go. Um, but the big news is the Ahsoka trailer
Mm,
because Ahsoka will be coming out this August, so we're about a month away from Ahsoka. Um, how excited for you are Ahsoka on a scale of 1 to 10?
I am maybe like a 5.
Really? Why?
Mm, I'm feeling reasonably excited. Like I'm looking forward to it, but I wouldn't
No,
say excited.
I understand what a 5 out of 10 means, but like, why is it a 5 out of 10?
Didn't know what your freaking question meant. Oh, I don't know.
Well, it
Looks
means I'm
fine. It just
moderately
doesn't interest
interested.
me that much. I'm only mildly interested. Um,
Um, I couldn't be more hyped for this show. I
I
think
know.
of the Disney Plus shows that are still to come this year, which is like this. Um, what was the other? What the other two big ones are? Echo and Loki. Um, I think this is the one that I'm most excited for. Then Echo, then Loki. Um,
Really. Hmm.
yeah, because Echo, I'm just so on board for because of Daredevil.
Hmm.
Like Daredevil's gonna be in that show, Kingpin's gonna be in that show. Like, let's go. Like that's gonna be great. Um, the issue is I don't like with Ahsoka. Um, this is just their version of Heir to the Empire. That is communicated very bluntly because in both trailers they've said Thrawn is heir to the Empire, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's being very clearly noted what this is, and it's like all right, great. But I think that this trailer gives us a little more indication that it's going to be following the storyline a little bit more religiously than we thought.
Okay.
Um, because like you've enjoyed Outbound Flight,
Yeah.
and Outbound Flight was an attempt to retrofit Heir to the Empire into the existing canon. Because
Mm-hmm.
let's not mince words. I mean, it was canon, and then Lucas took what he wanted from it, and then decided we're not going to use all of it. Because like Coruscant and Kashyyyk both come from Heir to the Empire, Um, and then he uses those, especially the descriptions of them, and then it gets actually I think Kashyyyk comes from the holiday special, but a lot of it comes from Heir to the Empire. And when you get to the prequels, a lot of it is retconned out. Like there is no Master Sabaoth, there is no, Grand Army of the Republic where they could have these dreadnoughts. Like a lot of it is decanonized by that. And then Outbound Flight is trying to retrofit it in, where, now it all kind of fits together a little bit better. It's like cutting a puzzle piece to fit in.
Okay.
And some of those things are carrying over into this. Like there's that line where, Ray Stevenson, may he rest in peace, says to Ahsoka, it's like, I knew your master Anakin. It's like he is very clearly the Sabaoth role, or Sabaoth. I go by the audiobook pronunciation, which varies depending on which audiobook
It
you
does
listen to.
vary. So there's not really like an incorrect way to say it.
Because in Heir to the Empire, in that trilogy, it's Sabaoth, but in Outbound Flight, it's Sabaoth, and I think that's okay because it's like one's the clone, one's not.
Right.
So it makes it easier to differentiate what's what. He is very much going to be that role, I think. And I think to that end, the blonde girl is going to be the Mara Jade.
Hmm. I am interested, but I'm also they've done me dirty so many times that I think that ruins my excitement for things.
See, I think that's the issue too. It's like for every Andor, which is just among some of the best Star Wars that they've had, regardless of what Josie incorrectly thinks.
Mhm.
Like Andor is some of the best Star Wars they've done. For every Andor, there are countless other really bad Star Wars things they've done on Disney
Right.
Plus. Um, like I wouldn't say Kenobi is deplorable, but a lot of it's just really slow and boring. Book of Boba Fett is virtually irredeemable. And The Mandalorian, looking back, is not as good. We talked about it when we did season one of The Mandalorian. We're going to talk about it a little bit more today, I feel like. The Mandalorian starts out strong and then progressively gets worse over time.
Um,
And it doesn't
I
age
think that it
particularly
gets
well.
better. I think it actually gets better in the second season because the second season is when the lady boss fight happens, right?
At the very end, yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Um, but like,
Should we get it? Should we talk about it?
well, let's finish up talking about the trailer and then we'll go into that. But like,
Okay, but we had like the perfect segue. My
well,
goodness.
don't worry, I got a good segue coming.
Oh, okay.
But I think that this could be the better of the Star Wars shows for this year. Like, I think this will be the top Star Wars show of the year because I don't think it'll be worse than The Mandalorian season
I
3.
really hate the prosthetics.
You'd rather they did CGI?
I think it just looks so bad.
See, I think the issue is
Her head
big.
tails like are not long enough. They're depicted at when she is older and the age that they're depicting her at, her head tails are long. And then now they're short.
Maybe
What
she
the
got a
heck
haircut.
happened?
Maybe she got a
That
haircut.
you can't cut those.
She got him into a bob. It's fine.
No,
She
you
saw
can't
Ant-Man
cut
and was
them.
like, "Hey, wait a minute. I like what
That would
Hope Van
be
Dyne did."
that would be like a circumcision of their head.
I don't think it'd be It'd be closer to castration. What do you think a circumcision is?
It's not castration. Their genitals are not in their head tails.
I'm not saying they are. I'm saying that they're gonna cut off that much of that. It's not a. What you think? Like guys are born with like 13-inch dicks, and they cut off like half of it when they're born. Like that's not how that works.
Okay,
Like,
we're not here to talk about dick sizes. So,
um,
um, but the head tails are storage for like they just store fat. Like that's all that there's in there. And
oh,
they're
so they're titties.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, but no, but
Um,
like maybe she got a reduction.
you can't that's not a thing. And they wouldn't want that. It's a symbol of status and age.
Okay.
And no,
Um,
and they've already shown her in the Clone Wars shows that she has longer ones. And I just think that they look really bad. When they showed her in The Mandalorian, they looked bad, and I am not a fan. And I think that they could look a lot better because there's a lot of other prostheses that they've done that just look excellent. So unless they're going to fix that and make it better, I'm still gonna have a problem with it.
There's a guy I used to work with who refused to watch Creed 3 because they never mentioned Damien or Donnie's past with Damien in the first two Creed movies. And I said to him, I think you're missing the point. And I feel like that's relevant here because I feel like
Mm,
that shouldn't ruin your enjoyment of the entire show is based on the head tail length. You're
if
like the person.
if that is all that I can see, then it will.
Okay, so let me put it to you this way. Um, new a new Tomb Raider came out in the mid 2010s.
I
Um,
didn't watch it.
it was a TV show. Well, there was a movie too. Let's use the movie as an example. The original movie, it is Angelina Jolie plays Lara
Hmm.
Croft. You're familiar with that. In the
Hmm.
new movie, it's Alicia Vikander.
Okay.
Alicia Vikander is not quite as endowed
Busty?
as yes
That doesn't
as
bother me because that's not prostheses, that's a body.
okay. But
It's
would
the
you
fact
say
that
that
it's the fact that it's prostheses and the makeup is around the same thing as a wardrobe. If you can't get past the effects, those special effects,
that doesn't bother me?
like it bothers me.
Like I watched The Flash for 9 seasons on the CW.
Yeah, and that just
Effects
shows your level
effects
of
don't bother me.
yes.
Um, like shitty effects
That's
don't bother. Shitty effects do bother me when there's a see. I think, and for me, it's more of a budget thing. It's like I know that this show's budget is like a box of donuts and like $20, so like it doesn't bother me the effects are bad. When the Flash movie comes out and it's a $300 million budget for 2 hours and it looks like complete dog shit, I'm like, this is a problem.
hmm.
Like it's kind of a sliding scale based on the budget, but I think that like for me, the head tail length doesn't
I can
bother me
imagine probably they've probably got a pretty big budget, don't they?
for the TV show.
Yeah.
No, the budget for each season was like 20 to 30 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't
But
have
still,
a
I
huge
hated that
budget.
they did that to her to begin with. And yes, I do think that they probably should have
Oh, you mean the TV
CGI'd
shows for the
them.
Star Wars shows? The Star Wars shows have like
Yeah.
a 250 million dollar budget.
That's what okay, yeah.
I
So
thought you were talking about the Flash, which had a 20 to
no,
30
so you
million.
don't listen.
No, you used a pronoun, and I'm like, which one is she talking about? And let me just infer based on where the conversation was.
You're yeah, okay.
I'll allow that. Um, but yeah, I think that that is not my biggest like. Do you like how Hera looks?
Hera?
Hera, the green chick,
Hera the green chick.
Hera Syndulla,
Hera
Mara,
in what is she in?
Ahsoka.
Oh, I am not as pumped about it, so I don't really remember the whole thing. Mm,
I think I said it with the first trailer. The girl playing Sabine,
there's like 1 second where she's viewed.
like
I can't even find a picture.
the girl who plays Sabine, who's the Mandalorian girl, who's I think Asian. I am not 100% certain.
Hmm.
She's just nailing all the mannerisms of Sabine.
Hmm.
Um, did you watch Rebels?
Is
Star Wars
that what?
Rebels?
Hold on.
The show Thrawn's on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that.
Not all of them. I'm not entirely caught up to date on it.
Oh, you have to watch the last season because this picks up after the last season with all the cast. This is basically Rebel season 5 in live
Okay,
action.
I'll have to watch it
Because
then.
like Hera's in this, Sabine's in this. Sabine is watching the hollow of Ezra. That little droid Chopper's in it. Like this show is gonna be a live action Rebel season 5, and I think this is gonna be like what Loki season was to the multiverse saga of Marvel from phases 4 to 6 with Secret Wars and all of that.
Okay.
What Loki season 1 was to that, this is gonna be to the Heir to the Empire movie, is what I
Hmm.
feel.
Okay.
Um, but speaking of TV shows, let's talk about The Mandalorian season 2.
Oof.
Thank
That
you.
one was abrasive.
Um, Now you like The Mandalorian season 2. Um,
I did.
I, for me, it's. Have you heard of the meme Glup Shido?
Nope.
Okay, so it's like every time when it was a joke, I think it was a Tumblr post. It's like every time there's a new Star Wars show, all the diehard Star Wars fans are like, oh look, it's Glup Shido, this random guy from this book that came out 20 years ago. Isn't it great that he's in the TV show now? That's what this season is.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's like the first episode is the one where they bring in Timothy Oliphant as the Marshal. He was in Aftermath. Bo-Katan makes her debut in this. She was from Clone Wars and from Rebels. Ahsoka's in this season. Boba Fett's in this season. Luke Skywalker's in this season. Like
I liked it.
it is
I liked the cameos. I thought they were cool. It had me going, oh, look, there's Glup Shadow. I liked it.
and I think too the standalone episodes are also a little bit weaker than the standalone episodes in season one.
You think so?
I do. I think that the
I
like the ice one with the spider thing, I was like, that's not particularly cool. Like
yeah, but now we get to see Grogu like being more interesting.
we get to see Grogu wipe out an entire fucking race as a joke
That's a joke.
because he keeps
What do you
eating
mean a
those.
whole race?
He like
He
the
keeps
fucking
eating the
fish
lady's
people,
eggs.
and
It's
he
not a
keeps.
race. It's just her whole family.
Oh,
Isn't that
okay, never mind
horrible?
then.
It's so funny. It's so funny how horrible it is.
Yeah,
But
like
it's like, ah,
that didn't bother me. That didn't like that whole thing didn't bother me. I think too, it's like what I liked about the season is it started to open up the post Return of the Jedi world in a way that the first season really didn't. And I think that it's really the start of these shows trying to fix the mistakes of rushing the sequels into production.
oh,
Where it's like we've talked about it before, where it's like the sequels as we see them only exist because of the acquisition by Disney. Where Disney buys Star Wars for $4 billion, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, has to go to the board and be like, look, we're going to return on this investment. So they rush into production to get, by 2015, a Star Wars movie made and out. So you
mm,
end up with The Force Awakens. There's no plan for the trilogy. It's just here's The Force Awakens. We'll figure it out later. Which is why you end up with
okay.
with The Last Jedi building on and going in its own direction. And then when JJ comes back, he's like, "Well, this is how I would have finished it out anyway. So we're just gonna ignore as much of The Last Jedi as possible and move on from there."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like it is, they had no plan going into it, and
Okay.
the biggest issue with it is the political situation of the galaxy makes zero sense without additional context for the sequels. Who were the First Order? Where the fuck did they come from? How did they get to this point where they're this well armed? Like, what happened with the fucking Republic that it got to this point? None of that's explained in the movies. You have to go to outside media. And the general viewer is not going to go and read the books like the Leia book where they explain about how the New Republic doesn't want to have a military because they don't want to have the risk of the rise of another Palpatine. Like, they're not going to go through all of that. They're not going to read that book where it explains that, like, they kept it a secret that Vader was Leia's father, and then when that came out, someone exposed that for political gain, and she lost all credibility, which is why she's leading the resistance instead of being a high-ranking member of the Republic. Like, all of that stuff isn't going to be explored by a general audience. This show is bridging that gap a little bit, and this is the beginning of that. And I think they do that well because that's always been what Filoni has done well. Like the Clone Wars fills in that information for the prequels. The Mando timeline does that same thing here.
Okay.
Um, and I think that this show does a good job of starting that, but I think that the it just while you have all like this original character, it does too much while it's expanding universe, it does too much to contract it, where it's all characters we already know. That's kind of my problem with it.
Okay.
Whereas like you have this wide galaxy with all these people, but it's all people we know. We keep going back to Tatooine, and it's like, oh, here's Boba Fett again. It's like, who gives a Boba Fett should have stayed dead. Like,
You're
am I
wrong.
wrong? Like,
Yeah,
he like,
you're
it,
wrong.
how am I wrong?
Boba Fett's awesome. If you want Boba Fett to stay dead, I don't even think you like Star Wars.
In the
I
movies, He says nothing, or he says two lines in his first appearance. Then in his next appearance, he gets slapstick murdered.
Yeah, he's still awesome. Um, yeah. Um, so one thing about this season is that there is a fight with all of the ladies that have been brought in, and they
Mhm.
all fight and they all kick butt, and it is like the first time I have ever seen or recently seen a a moment where it was all these awesome, powerful ladies just kicking ass, taking names, doing business, and just kicking butt. And there was none of this social, like, I hate to call it this because, like, I get it, like, but like the social justice thing where it's like, oh, we have to really make a point that these were like in what's that Marvel movie that came out where like they had the same kind of lady fight scene, and then they immediately right after had to have them all stand together with the wind in their back to like really make a point that it was all women fighting.
Avengers
This
Endgame.
was the Yes, and this was like the first time I feel like I've seen something where at the end of it you went, it like you had this moment of like, or you realize at the end of it, oh my gosh, that was all ladies kicking butt. But like if you weren't looking for something like that, you wouldn't even notice.
I think
And
that
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 was
speaks.
excellent.
I think that speaks more to Star Wars as a fan. If you want to get your charger, you can go get your charger. Um,
Oh
I
my word. Okay.
oh, okay. I think that how much time do you have until it's dead?
I don't know.
Well, click on the little thing; it'll tell you. You click on the little battery; it'll tell you how long you have. Um,
I have 9 minutes.
okay,
So I probably have closer to 8.
okay. So I'll keep that thought to myself because we have to wrap this up because her laptop is dying. And it's not my laptop dying this time.
Sorry, I'm fired.
Um, but we can rank the show. So our rankings so far for TV. Well, let's go through the rankings real quick so we can catch up. Number
I would
17.
oh,
What? You want to
I
go through the
was gonna
ranking?
say I would like to rank it just above Mandalorian season 1.
Okay, so would you say it's
Because
better or worse than Andor?
I want it just above Mandalorian season 1.
Well, we have Mandalorian season one at the bottom of the TV shows. So if you want it right above right above Mandalorian season one, you have it at number 14.
Well, if I
Um,
put it above Andor, you're gonna give me shit about it. So no,
I mean,
you
look,
can
I'm gonna give
put
you
it
shit.
directly above Mandalorian season 1 unless you believe it should rank higher.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not gonna argue that. That's low enough for me.
But it is better than season 1.
I'll say that I do enjoy Bo-Katan showing up. I think that Katie Sackhoff's great in that role, and I do love the Ahsoka episode. Um, and we get to see the beginning of Grogu's past. I think that's cool too. So yes, I will say it's better than season one because if you ask me right now, what's your favorite moment from season one of the Mandalorian, it would be the finale, and that's the only thing I can remember from season one of the Mandalorian is that final episode with Moff Gideon. Um, but we'll wrap up there for today because Josie's laptop's dying. Our next episodes will be um, The Force Unleashed 1 and 2, which, yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, Revenge of the Sith, Heir of the Empire, and then Mandalorian Season 3 as we gear up for the arrival of Ahsoka. So, until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, you too.